What really makes life feel, well, like life?
Yeah.
Not just the day-to-day, but that deeper sense of direction.
Hmm.
We all wrestle with it, right?
Yeah.
Questions like, what am I really here to do? How can I not just live longer, but live well for longer?
Yeah. And what does true richness look like, beyond just the bank balance?
Exactly.
These are the big questions, the ones that have, well, echoed through human experience forever, really. And today we're going to explore a really compelling way of thinking about them, the Japanese concept of Ikigai.
Ikigai. Okay.
Hmm.
It sounds almost, I don't know, peaceful. What exactly is it?
Well, it's often called the Japanese secret to a long and happy life, and it has deep roots in Okinawa.
Okinawa, right. One of those blue zones.
Exactly. One of those
Yeah.
fascinating blue zones where a remarkable number of people live past 100. Think of it a place where longevity isn't some rare thing.
Wow. A secret from a place with a lot of folks who've clearly figured something out. I'm definitely intrigued. So break down the meaning of Ikigai for us.
Well, on the surface, it literally translates to something like the happiness of always being busy.
Busy, like just rushing around.
No, not exactly. It's not about frantic activity. It's more about finding joy and purpose in whatever keeps you engaged. It's a subtle but pretty significant difference.
Okay, got it. So our deep dive today is all about understanding this Ikigai thing and how we can maybe apply it to our own lives
Yeah.
for more purpose and hopefully more good years.
Right.
We've got some fascinating material to work with, including insights from books and articles, I believe.
Absolutely. And a key book we'll be drawing from is Ikigai, The Japanese Secret to a Long and Happy Life. It's by Hector Garcia and Francesca Miralles.
Garcia. He's Spanish, but lives in Japan, right? Knows the culture.
Yeah, exactly. He has Spanish citizenship, but is deeply immersed in Japanese culture. He also wrote other interesting books like Love in Small Letters and Wabi Sabi. Morales is also a Spanish author.
Okay.
And what's really remarkable is that this book, Ikigai, it's become a global bestseller, translated into 57 languages.
57. Wow. That really told you something, doesn't it? About how universal this search for meaning is.
It really does.
So, at its core, what's the central idea of Ikigai? What's that aha moment?
Simply put, your Ikigai is your personal reason for being. It's that purpose that lights your fire. The thing that makes you genuinely want to get out of bed each morning.
Okay.
It's where the joy of being active and engaged meets your fundamental reasons for living.
Right, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I came across the idea that there are like 4 key pieces to this puzzle, 4 circles or something.
Yes, exactly. The journey to discovering your Ikigai often involves exploring the interplay between 4 crucial areas:
Mhm.
passion, profession, vocation, and mission.
Okay, let's break those down. Passion, that's what you truly love doing and what you're naturally good at, right?
Mm-hmm.
The stuff that doesn't feel like a grind, which you'd happily lose yourself in. For me, it might be digging into this kind of research, honestly.
Right.
For someone else, maybe it's expressing themselves through, I don't know, blogging, singing, or dancing.
Exactly. It's that inherent joy and skill. And then we have profession that's, well, what you can actually get paid to do.
Oh, the practical bit.
Yeah. This is where that spark of passion starts to connect with the practicalities of earning a living. So your love for blogging might evolve into, say, a freelance writing career that brings in income.
Okay, so profession is passion meeting the paycheck.
Mm.
Makes sense. What about vocation? That sounds a bit loftier.
Vocation is where your profession takes on a deeper meaning. It's what you get paid for. A&D, it contributes something positive to the world, it helps people or addresses a real need.
So there's an impact.
Yeah, there's a sense of your work having a beneficial impact beyond just earning money.
Okay, using your skills not just for yourself, but for the greater good. And finally, mission. How's that different from vocation?
Mission is what you love and ameni, what the world needs. It's about aligning your deepest passions with something that serves a larger purpose, contributing to something beyond your individual needs, or even getting paid for it directly sometimes.
Gotcha. So passion and need combined. And Ikigai is right there in the sweet spot where all 4 of these circles overlap.
Precisely.
That intersection of personal fulfillment, getting paid, using your skills, and making a difference.
That central point where your passions, skills, earnings, and the needs of the world converge, that's often considered your Ikigai. That's the goal.
Now, the idea of staying young at any age keeps popping up in relation to Ikigai. How does having this purpose play into that?
Well, the Japanese, particularly in Okinawa, seem to believe that everyone possesses an Ikigai, whether they've consciously identified it yet or not.
Really? Everyone has one.
That's the idea. This inherent reason for getting up in the morning isn't limited by age. It's seen as a lifelong motivator that keeps people actively engaged with life.
So it sounds like their concept of retirement must be quite different from, how we often think of it in the West.
Oh, very different. In Japan, there's a strong cultural tendency to remain active and engaged in work or meaningful pursuits for as long as physically possible.
Snow stopping completely.
Well, interestingly, the Japanese language doesn't even have a direct equivalent for our word retirement.
No kidding.
Yeah, which really highlights this fundamental difference in perspective. It's much more about continuous contribution and staying active rather than just stopping everything.
That's a fascinating insight. So it's about staying in motion and having a purpose no matter what the number on your birth certificate says. Okay, now let's talk about this 80% secret. Harahachibu. What's the story there?
Ah, harachibu, yes. It's a common and quite impactful practice in Okinawa where people consciously stop eating when they feel about 80% full.
80%. Not stuffed, just
That aside.
exactly. And this seemingly small habit can have some pretty significant health benefits.
Like what? Just avoiding that post-meal slump? Or is there more?
Well, that definitely. But also, eating less means your body has to expend less energy on digestion.
Ah.
Think of it like this. Your body can then use that saved energy for other vital functions, potentially reducing cellular oxidation. You could think of it like slowing down the rusting process in your cells. All right, less wear and tear.
Exactly. It also helps prevent that heavy lethargic feeling after eating. And the calorie comparisons are quite striking. Okinawans typically consume around 1,800 to 1,900 calories daily.
Whereas in America,
It's much higher, right?
much higher, often between 2,200 and 3,300 on average. Big difference.
That makes a lot of sense. Less energy spent on digestion could free it up for repair, other processes, and fewer calories generally lines up with better long-term health.
Okay, what about moai? That sounded like it had a strong social element.
Absolutely. Moai refers to a close-knit group of people, like a social support group, who share a common purpose. They meet regularly to provide each other with emotional, social, and sometimes even financial support.
Financial, too. How does that work?
Yeah, often through small monthly contributions into a shared pot. It's a powerful community network that fosters a strong sense of belonging and mutual aid. It's like having a built-in support system of trusted friends for life.
So it's not just about your individual Ikigai, but also about the strength you draw from your connections with others. That's huge.
Definitely.
Now, this idea that small things bring joy and longevity,
Hmm.
how does that connect?
This really emphasizes the importance of nurturing both a healthy body and a sharp mind. You know that old saying, a sound mind and a sound body?
Sure.
It really rings true in this context. It's about holistic well-being, where the little things you do consistently contribute to your overall health and happiness.
Definitely. We all know physical activity is key, but the source also highlighted the importance of mental exercise, keeping the brain fit.
Yes, absolutely. Neurologist Shlomo Bresnitz emphasized that our brains, just like our bodies, need regular stimulation to stay efficient and adaptable.
Because they get lazy otherwise.
Kind of. He pointed out that our brains tend to become comfortable with routine tasks. They like the easy path, so introducing new information and challenges is vital for keeping them sharp. Engaging in mental training, whether it's learning a new skill or tackling a challenging puzzle, not only makes those tasks easier with practice, but can also reignite passion and improve the quality of our work. It's like giving your brain a good workout.
I like that, stretching your mental muscles. Now, something we all deal with, stress. How does it factor into this idea of a long and happy life? It seems like the enemy.
It really is. Unfortunately, stress is a major adversary to longevity. The American Institute of Stress Management has even identified it as a leading cause of illness.
Wow, leading cause.
Yeah, prolonged stress has a negative impact on brain cells associated with memory and can lead to a whole host of issues, from irritability and insomnia to anxiety and high blood pressure.
So it affects mind and body.
Directly. Interestingly, the book specifically mentions meditation as a valuable tool for managing and reducing stress.
Makes perfect sense. Finding ways to calm the mind seems essential. And then there's the very modern issue of spending too much time sitting down, the sedentary trap.
Oh, yes, a huge issue today. A sedentary lifestyle has been linked to numerous health problems, things like high blood pressure, digestive issues, heart disease, weakened bones, and obesity.
All the big ones.
Right, all factors that can contribute to premature aging.
So, if our jobs require us to be at a desk all day, what practical steps can we take? Are we doomed?
No, definitely not. Even small changes can make a big difference. Incorporating short walking breaks throughout the day, maybe. Aiming for at least 20 minutes of walking daily.
Just getting up and moving.
Exactly. Consciously choosing social activities over just passive screen time. Focusing on a healthy diet, of course.
Yeah.
Ensuring you get adequate sleep. The recommendation is usually around 7 to 9 hours.
Sleep is crucial.
Totally. Avoiding harmful habits, finding some form of physical activity you genuinely enjoy. It all adds up.
Small, consistent efforts. And it sounds like it's not just about our physical habits. Our mental outlook plays a significant role too, doesn't it?
Absolutely. The source mentioned Alexander Imich, who lived to be 111 years old. Yeah. And he attributed his long life not only to good genetics, but also significantly to his positive attitude and the way he approached life's challenges. Mindset matters.
This is all making me think about finding that deeper sense of meaning again. The source touched on logotherapy and meritotherapy. These sound like interesting psychological approaches linked to purpose.
They are really interesting. Logotherapy, developed by Viktor Frankl, you might know him from Man's Search for Meaning.
Right, the psychiatrist who survived the Holocaust.
Exactly. His therapy centers around the idea that finding meaning in life is a fundamental human drive. Frankl observed that even in the most challenging circumstances imaginable, a sense of purpose can sustain us.
That's powerful.
He contrasted this with a modern tendency where people might pursue work solely for financial gain, even if it leaves them feeling empty, which can sadly lead to feelings of despair or meaninglessness.
Like working a job you hate just for the money.
Precisely. The core message is that we all have the potential for meaningful contributions, and our attitude towards our circumstances is incredibly powerful. Even if the situation isn't ideal, finding meaning within it is key.
So it's about finding purpose even when things are tough. And meritotherapy, what's that about?
Meritotherapy is a unique Japanese psychotherapy that also emphasizes life purpose but takes a slightly different angle. It focuses on accepting your feelings as they are not fighting them, and then directing your actions towards what needs to be done.
Accepting feelings, how does that work?
The idea is that trying to suppress or change feelings directly often backfires. Instead, you accept them, let them be, and focus on behavior. The three key principles are accept your feelings without judgment, focus on doing what you should be doing in the present moment, and through this process, you naturally discover or uncover your life's purpose.
So action leads to purpose, rather than waiting for purpose to motivate action.
In a way, yes. It's quite different from some Western therapies that might focus more heavily on analyzing or altering the feelings themselves first.
That's a fascinating distinction.
Mm.
How does meritotherapy typically unfold? Is it a long process?
It usually involves four distinct phases, often over a period of about 15 to 30 days in its traditional form. The first phase is isolation and rest, allowing the individual to become more aware of their internal state without external distractions.
Okay, quiet time.
Then comes light vocational training, things like gardening or simple crafts to encourage gentle engagement and focus on concrete tasks.
Getting your hands busy.
Exactly. The third phase is more intensive vocational therapy, involving more physical tasks and interaction, still focused on productive work and action. Finally, there is social reintegration, where the person gradually returns to their normal daily life equipped with this new perspective.
So it builds up gradually.
Right. The overall aim is to help individuals shift their focus from trying to control their feelings to taking purposeful action, which in turn reveals their reason for living, their Ikigai.
It sounds like a very intentional process of reconnecting with yourself and your purpose through action. Very interesting. Now, the concept of flow, we hear that a lot these days, right, in discussions about productivity, happiness. How does it relate to Ikigai?
Flow is that wonderful state, isn't it? Being completely absorbed in an activity where you lose all track of time and are fully immersed in actually enjoying what you're doing.
Yeah, like you look up and hours have passed.
Exactly. It's deeply intertwined with Ikigai because when you're experiencing flow, you're often engaged in something that aligns perfectly with your passions and fully utilizes your skills. It feels effortless but highly focused.
So it's a sign you might be doing something aligned with your Ikigai.
It can definitely be a strong indicator. As Aristotle wisely said, something like, "We are what we repeatedly do." Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. Flow often arises when we're engaged in those activities we do well and enjoy the habits of excellence.
So how do we actually cultivate this state of flow? Can we just switch it on?
Huh? If only. But there are several conditions that tend to facilitate flow. Firstly, having a clear understanding of what needs to be done and how to do it.
Clear goals.
Right. Knowing what a successful outcome looks like. Being aware of potential challenges ahead, but also feeling like you have the skills necessary for the task. It shouldn't feel impossible.
Challenging but achievable.
Exactly. And maintaining a focused mind is absolutely key. Distraction is the enemy of flow.
Okay, it makes sense. And what happens when our focus inevitably wavers? How can we get back into that flow state? Any tips?
Yeah, a few strategies can be helpful. Try to find tasks that are challenging enough to be engaging, but not so difficult that they cause frustration or anxiety. That balance is crucial.
Sweet spot again.
Right. Set clear and specific goals, maybe breaking larger projects down into smaller, more manageable steps. That gives you clear milestones.
Bite-sized chunks.
Precisely. Focusing on one task at a time is huge. Resist the urge to multitask, it fragments attention, creating a conducive environment, minimizing distractions. That helps a lot.
Turn off notifications.
Definitely. Cultivating self-confidence in your abilities, believing you can handle the challenge, and again, practices like mindfulness or meditation can significantly enhance your ability to concentrate and find your flow.
These are all really valuable insights. Okay, the source also shared some wisdom for some of the world's longest living individuals. What common threads did they find there, especially from Japan, right?
Yes, given that Japan boasts one of the highest concentrations of centenarians people over 100, even 110, their perspectives are certainly worth noting. Some of the recurring themes and their secrets to longevity include, well, eating a balanced diet.
We talked about Horajibu.
Right. Often just two main meals a day. Prioritizing sufficient sleep generally around that 7 to 9 hour mark. Possessing a strong will to live and a positive outlook. That came up again.
Mindset again.
Yeah. Consuming less or no meat was common for many. Maintaining a cheerful disposition. Keeping both their minds and bodies active throughout their lives, no stopping.
Stay active, don't retire.
Exactly. Avoiding harmful substances, obviously. Continuously learning and engaging in meaningful activities. Living fully in the present moment, not dwelling on the past or worrying excessively about the future.
Ichigo Ichii, perhaps.
Very much related, yes. Fostering strong social connections and a sense of teamwork or community. The Moai idea again. Exercising regularly, gently, often until their final days.
Wow.
Not dwelling on worries. Cultivating good daily habits, cherishing good friendships, and generally maintaining a positive attitude towards life. It's a whole package.
A lot of those points really reinforce what we've already discussed about Ikigai and overall well-being. It all weaves together. What about their specific dietary habits? You mentioned the Okinawan diet.
Right. In Okinawa specifically, their diet is notably rich in antioxidants. They typically consume around 15 different antioxidant-rich foods every day.
15. Like what?
Things like tofu, miso soup, tuna, carrots, sweet potatoes, those purple ones especially.
Yeah.
Cabbage, onions, goya, which is bitter melon, black pepper, kombu, kelp, nori, seaweed, hechima, a type of gourd, soybeans, and sanpinja, which is that jasmine-infused green tea.
Quite a variety.
Definitely. They also tend to have a very low intake of sugary foods and a relatively moderate salt consumption, averaging around 7 grams per day, which is lower than many Western diets.
Okay, sanpincha and green tea were specifically highlighted as beneficial. What makes them so good for you?
Well, sanpincha, that blend of green and jasmine tea, popular in Okinawa, has been linked to several health benefits, things like reduced cholesterol levels, a strengthened immune system, stress reduction, and even a lower risk of heart attack.
Pretty impressive for tea.
And green tea itself, which originally came from China, also boasts a long list of potential advantages, helping to regulate cholesterol and blood sugar, improving circulation, strengthening bones, offering protection against the flu, helping prevent UV damage to the skin, and even fighting off certain bacterial infections. Lots of good stuff.
And there was also mention of a unique fruit called shikuwasa. Sounds exotic.
Yeah, shikawasa. It's a small, sour citrus fruit native to Okinawa. It's particularly rich in an antioxidant compound called nobiletin.
Nobiletin.
Yeah, plus essential vitamins like B and C, beta-carotene, and various beneficial minerals. It's considered another important piece of the puzzle contributing to the Okinawans' remarkable longevity.
It really underscores the idea that diet plays a crucial role in a long and healthy life, doesn't it? And it sounds like staying physically active is equally important, not just hard exercise, but consistent movement.
Absolutely. People living in blue zones around the world consistently maintain an active lifestyle throughout their lives. It's just part of their day.
So what kind of activities were mentioned?
The sources highlighted a few practices. Yoga, for instance, originated in India, of course, but widely practiced in Japan and China. It's fantastic for both mental and physical well-being, and particularly good for older adults because it can be very gentle.
Like adaptive?
Then there's Radio Taiso. This is a Japanese morning exercise routine, often done in groups, broadcast over the radio or TV. It's designed to boost energy and foster a sense of unity. Simple movements, easy to follow.
Like a national wake-up routine?
Kind of, yeah. And Tai Chi was mentioned in ancient practice with roots in both Buddhist tradition and Chinese martial arts. It emphasizes self-awareness, developing skill over brute strength, and uses controlled, flowing movements. Very mindful.
So different options, but the key is regular, often gentle, movement.
Exactly. If you're curious about any of these, there are tons of resources online showing how to do these exercises. Find something you enjoy.
It sounds like finding an enjoyable form of movement and making it a regular habit is key. Okay, now, life inevitably throws challenges our way. How does having an Ikigai help us navigate those tough times?
Resilience, right?
Resilience is so important, yeah. And in this context, it's defined not just as the ability to bounce back from adversity, but also as your overall perspective on the world.
How you frame things. Exactly. People who have a strong sense of ikigai, that clear purpose, are often more resilient because their purpose provides them with a powerful motivation to keep going, even when faced with significant obstacles.
Like an anchor.
A very strong anchor. Ultimately, the idea is that it's not the events themselves, but our reaction to them that truly shapes our experience and our ability to move forward.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
It's that inner drive fueled by purpose that helps you keep going. The concepts of wabi-sabi and ichigo-ichi were also introduced. They sound very Japanese, very evocative.
They are beautiful concepts, deeply rooted in Japanese philosophy, offering valuable perspectives. Wabi-sabi is about finding beauty in imperfection and transience.
Imperfection.
Yeah, appreciating things that are simple, modest, maybe a bit worn or flawed. It's an appreciation for the natural cycle of growth and decay, finding value in things that are not conventionally perfect or permanent.
Like a cracked teacup being more beautiful in a way.
Exactly that kind of feeling.
Yeah.
And Ichigo-ichi translates roughly to, this moment exists only now and will not return.
One time, one meeting.
Precisely. It's a powerful reminder to be fully present and appreciate the uniqueness of each moment, each encounter, because it will never happen again in exactly the same way.
Wow. Deep stuff. How can we bring these ideas into our everyday lives? They sound nice, but are they practical?
I think they can be. One practical way suggested is to cultivate more options in your life, maybe by exploring side projects, learning new skills, not putting all your eggs in one basket. This relates to accepting impermanence.
Being adaptable.
Right. Taking small, calculated risks can also help you grow and adapt, embracing the uncertainty. And importantly, wabi-sabi might encourage us to be mindful of and avoid things that consistently drain our energy or make us feel weak, striving for a simpler, more authentic state.
Some really actionable advice there. The source also summarized 10 rules of Ikigai attributed to the people of Okimi, that village in Okinawa. What are those guiding principles? Like a cheat sheet.
Yeah, kind of a distillation of their wisdom. They're wonderful reminders. First, stay active, don't fully retire, keep doing things you value. Second, take it slow. Release the urgency, avoid rushing.
Don't hurry.
Right. Third, don't fill your stomach practice that 80% rule, harahachibu.
Mindful eating.
Fourth, surround yourself with good friends, that moai connection.
Community.
Fifth, get in shape for your next birthday. Gentle, daily exercise. Improve physical fitness each year.
Keep moving.
Sixth, smile. Acknowledge people, maintain a cheerful attitude.
Positivity.
Seventh, reconnect with nature. Spend time outdoors.
Grounding.
Eighth, give thanks. Practice gratitude for what you have.
Gratitude.
Ninth, live in the moment. Stop regretting the past or fearing the future. That's Ichigo-ichi again.
Be present.
And 10th, most importantly, follow your ikigai. Nurture your passion, your unique talent that gives meaning to your days.
Discover it and live it. That's a great list.
Yeah.
Solid wisdom for a more fulfilling life.
Absolutely.
The discussion even touched on the connection between Ikigai and the experience of the COVID-19 pandemic. That's a very relevant link for many of us.
It really is. During such a period of huge disruption and uncertainty, the principles of Ikigai could provide, and maybe still provide, a valuable framework for finding balance and meaning.
How so?
Well, It encourages us to re-examine what truly matters to us, our passions, our sense of purpose, the quality of our connections, especially in our work and personal lives, which were so shaken up.
A forced reevaluation.
Exactly. And being aware of the signs of misalignment and stress, things like irritability, a lack of motivation, feelings of uncertainty, fatigue, sadness, sleep disturbances, difficulty concentrating becomes even more critical during challenging times like that. Ikigai offers a lens to assess if you're living in line with your values.
It's like having an internal compass to help you navigate through turbulent periods.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Now let's delve into what the source called the science of Ikigai. That sounds fascinating. Is there actual science behind this?
Well, it's an emerging area, but yes, it involves some interesting neurological concepts, starting with mirror neurons.
Mirror neurons, I've heard of those. They fire when you see someone else do something.
Exactly. They were discovered in primates back in the early 1990s. These neurons have the remarkable ability to fire not only when you perform an action yourself, but also when you simply observe someone else performing the same action.
Okay, how does that relate to Ikigai?
The theory, or at least one connection, is that this neural mirroring plays a role in how we understand ourselves, partly by observing and comparing ourselves to others. Seeing someone else living with passion and purpose, for example, might subtly activate those related feelings and desires within us through these mirror neurons.
So, witnessing someone else's purposeful life might literally inspire us on a neural level to seek our own.
That's one line of thought. Yes, it connects observation to internal motivation. And then there's more direct research, like the Osaki study.
Osaki study,
It was a significant, large-scale, long-term study involving thousands of Japanese adults. This research found a noticeably higher rate of mortality specifically from heart disease and external causes like accidents, though interestingly not from cancer among individuals who reported not having a sense of ikigai.
wow. So liking purpose was linked to higher risk of death from certain causes.
That's what the study suggested. It points to a potential link between having a sense of purpose and actual physical health outcomes, protection against certain lifestyle-related illnesses. That's a pretty compelling finding, isn't it?
It really is. It moves Ikigai beyond just a nice philosophical concept to something with potentially tangible health implications.
Indeed. And there was another large study mentioned following around 70,000 Japanese adults aged 40 to 79 over an 8-year period.
What did that one find?
It showed a lower overall risk of mortality from all causes in those individuals who embraced their ikigai.
Lower risk of dying overall if you have Ikigai.
That's what this study indicated. It further strengthens the evidence for a connection between positive psychological factors like ikigai and longevity, at least within the Japanese population where these studies were done.
So it's not just a theoretical idea. There's growing evidence suggesting a real link to health and well-being. That's powerful. The source even briefly mentioned applying Ikigai principles to finding a business idea.
Yes, that came up briefly, referencing an online discussion somewhere, maybe Reddit. The 4 key components of Ikigai, what you love, what you're good at, what the world needs, and what you can be paid for, were highlighted as a potentially valuable framework for aspiring entrepreneurs.
Using it to brainstorm business ideas.
Exactly. Looking for a business that isn't just potentially profitable, but also deeply fulfilling and meaningful, hitting all 4 of those circles.
It all ties together so well, doesn't it? From personal well-being to maybe even business creation.
It really does. Ikigai offers this powerful lens, this framework through which to view our lives. It encourages us to find that central point where our passions, our skills, our contributions, and our livelihoods intersect, potentially leading to a more joyful, meaningful, and maybe even longer life.
So for you listening right now, maybe take a moment. Really think about those 4 fundamental questions. What genuinely brings you joy? What just lights you up? What are your natural talents and abilities?
Yeah.
What do people say you're good at?
Yeah, what comes easy, relatively speaking?
What kind of work could realistically sustain you financially? What could you get paid for?
And finally, what are the needs of the world around you, big or small, that you feel drawn to address? What problems do you want to solve?
It's a lot to think about.
It is. And remember that uncovering your ikigai is often an ongoing journey of self-exploration. It might not be some sudden epiphany like lightning striking.
Right, probably not.
More likely, it's a gradual unfolding as you learn more about yourself and the world around you, trying things, seeing what fits.
So maybe consider this as we wrap up. How could incorporating even one or two of these Ikigai-inspired practices into your daily routine make a difference?
Yeah, just one small thing.
Whether it's consciously adopting that 80% eating habit, maybe making more time for some mindful movement you enjoy, or simply spending a few quiet moments reflecting on what truly sparks your joy and sense of purpose.
How could that subtly, but maybe powerfully, shift your experience towards greater fulfillment and overall well-being?
What small, meaningful step towards your own Ikigai, whatever that might be, could you possibly take today?